Right now, between 100 and 120 of India's top space scientists are packing up their desks and walking out the doors of ISRO. These are the senior scientists responsible for operating India's most complex, mission-critical infrastructure. When they exit, they take decades of strictly guarded institutional knowledge with them. The government's response to this talent vacuum has been to double down on administrative control. They aren't offering more money, they are rewriting the employment rules to make it harder to leave. By sharply reducing voluntary retirement provisions, the state is attempting to build a bureaucratic fence around its workforce, effectively forcing this talent to remain within the public sector. This panic is triggered by a new reality: domestic competition. Indian space startups like Agnikul, Skyroot, and Pixel are now flush with venture capital and are using those funds to poach ISRO's most experienced minds. For the first time in its history, ISRO has lost its monopoly. The agency is now locked in a bidding war against the very domestic private industry it was designed to foster. For decades, India's talent drain followed a predictable path. Top engineers would leave the country entirely to find better living standards and research opportunities in the US or Europe. You can see the result of that historical migration in the leadership of global tech giants today. This geographic drain stripped India of the exact minds that built the modern digital economy. Today, the destination has changed. These scientists are staying in India, but they are migrating across sectors, abandoning government labs for private enterprise. Even in the United States, the most established space agency in the world is facing the exact same structural crisis. NASA's own reports show a 20% workforce reduction since 2023, with headcounts dropping from 18,000 to 14,000 employees. NASA's top propulsion experts and researchers are routinely leaving for high-paying roles with American private contractors. Whether it's in Bangalore or Houston, public agencies find themselves structurally outmatched when forced to compete against the massive financial resources of private firms. The math behind this exodus is clear. This scale shows the maximum earning potential for an elite scientist at ISRO. When you factor in base pay and housing allowances, they hit a ceiling of roughly 1 to 3 lakh rupees a month. Compare that to a private Indian space startup. They are offering medium-level engineers base salaries of 40 lakhs a year right out of the gate. But the deciding factor isn't the base salary, it's equity. Private companies offer stock options that can grow exponentially in value as the company scales. Because ISRO is a government body, it cannot offer shares. It is mathematically impossible for its staff to accumulate the type of wealth that private sector equity can provide. Leaving ISRO is a rational financial decision. For most, it is the only way to secure their family's long-term stability in a competitive economy. The most common suggestion is for the government to simply increase ISRO's budget to match these private sector offers, but that assumes the state has the fiscal room to prioritize research. In reality, national and state budgets are heavily strained by a culture of populist welfare spending. Massive outlays like the 14,000 crore rupees misallocated in schemes like Maharashtra's Ladki Bahin Yojana create significant state-level debt. This debt eventually burdens the central government, forcing a choice between bailing out local budgets or funding scientific R&D. As long as national capital is prioritized for sweeping subsidies, taxpayer-funded agencies will never have the reserves to compete with private venture capital. This creates a deeper risk. If private companies successfully absorb all of India's elite space talent, those companies become highly attractive targets for acquisition. Eventually, these startups need more capital to survive. This opens the door for foreign entities to purchase controlling 50% stakes in the very companies that now hold India's best space minds. The ISRO talent crisis is a national security concern. If India cannot retain its brightest minds within its own institutions, it risks losing autonomous, sovereign control over its most critical orbital technologies.